Greetings, unsettled souls, and welcome to the Correct Views. Sam IB doing political commentary for the Media Speaks. It's always difficult to do holidays because you have to worry that like 3 days from now, nobody's going to watch the show because they're going to say that it's Thanksgiving related. Therefore, since Thanksgiving is over, the news doesn't matter. I'm deliberately doing it in such a way that all the news I'm giving you is going to apply long after Thanksgiving is over. So if you've heard this message, do not click off, even if it's far removed from Thanksgiving, because I do the show the same way I always do. It normally takes people a week to trickle into any show. It can take up to 6 months. People are, you had a good point. And I like the show I posted 6 months ago. So it's very common. Do not go away if you've seen this after Thanksgiving, because it's not really Thanksgiving. It is Thanksgiving Day, and it's dedicated to President Obama. Thanksgiving Day. That's right. Why do I call it that? Because President Obama, and I'm not coining the phrase, by the way. I believe I'm the first to have thought of it. President Obama has seen fit to donate weapons to moderate rebels in Syria. Those moderate rebels have sold, joined ISIS, or had stolen all of the weaponry that we gave them. And that is why, because Obama has managed to fund our enemies, that I wish to welcome you to the Tank Give 'em show. And that is dedicated, what did I get donated for? It is dedicated to President Obama. We're going to get to some ISIS news and some of the Tanks Give 'em news. But I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about this. It's from the Rutherford Institute. John W. Whitehead, one of the best political commentators extant today. He said some things here that I wanted to go over ever so quickly. And again, even though Thanksgiving is in the title, if you see this like a week from now, it's fine. It's going to be relevant. It's not going to be dated to the holiday. Don't panic. Hold on, my friends, to the Constitution and to the Republic for which it stands. Miracles do not cluster, and what has happened once in 6,000 years may not happen again. That means the Constitution. Hold on to the Constitution, for if the American Constitution should fail, there may be anarchy throughout the world. Daniel Webster. And it says Thanksgiving isn't what it once was. And again, it goes on to talk about all the food we eat, the Black Friday shopping, and the sports. Let me tell you what, none of that bothers me, and I'll tell you why. I follow politics all the time. I have like 518 freaking videos up of politics. There are times that I like to talk football with my best friend, Billy D. Bass, of passing by. We bore DJ Aram, my loving brother. We bore him to absolute death. We've given him the Chargers because he had to pick a team. I love the escapism of football. I am going to go and root against the Cleveland Browns when they play the Bengals coming up. I promise you that's going to happen. I'm going to root against them. I hate the Browns. I look forward to an escape from all of it. So that's not necessarily bad. You watch some football on Turkey Day. Hell yeah. Black Friday shopping, as long as you've already had your meal, I don't care. I'm going to end up doing it, not because I am a Black Friday believer, because really you don't save any money. We've already done a show on this. You can look it up, Black Friday Correct Views. You don't save money on Black Friday, but there is a mall near the club I work. So on the way home, it would be stupid for me not to go and shop. If they were always open at 3 in the morning, then I would always shop there. So again, Black Friday doesn't bother me so much as long as your family comes first. But what he's talking about is the deviation from what our country was ever meant to be. And that's why I said this applies long after Thanksgiving is over. Washington, it was like 200 years ago when George Washington made Thanksgiving a holiday, governed by the wise, just, and constitutional laws, faithfully executed and obeyed by its agents, assisting foreign nations with good government, peace, and concord, promoting true religion, virtue, and science, which would not be global warming, and enabling temporal prosperity. The author writes as follows: the US government has become a warring empire, governed by laws that are rash, unjust, and unconstitutional, policed by government agents who are corrupt, hypocritical, and abusive, a menace to its own people, and the antithesis of everything to which Washington hoped. So, what is it that he is saying you should not be thankful for? And no, this is not going to be a crabby show. You're going to find that I'm actually very happy, and I'll tell you why. The U.S. has become a corporate oligarchy. That is not why. You can find I'm not going to go over all of these. Look on FactCam. You can tell I'm giving you the truncated version. Look it up. The Princeton University study indicates that our elected officials, especially in the nation's capital, represent the interest of only the rich and the powerful. Americans are being jailed for profit. That's obvious. The private prisons, they are given a quota that the state promises to fill. And if that means filling them with rapists, that's great. But if that means filling them with your son, your daughter, 16 years old, I guess you'd be 18, 19 years old, you go to prison for having drugs in your possession when normally you wouldn't in another country. That's because of this, because of private prisons getting paid to be full. He mentions endless wars have resulted in a battlefield mindset. By that, we're seeing an militarization of the police forces and the people that are supposedly going to keep us safe. The barrier between the public and private property has been done away with. That's obvious. They just take your land at will. Technology-driven surveillance state has become a fourth branch of government. Did you notice that you no longer have your Fourth Amendment right anymore? You don't have a protection from illegal searches and seizures. They can search you for damn near anything, okay? Christelle brought an incense into the room because I allowed the Thanksgiving/Halloween pumpkin to rot, as I do every year. It's like a tradition. I never remember to take it out. Oh, the smoke on the screen. Let's raid his house for pot. You know, there's always something like that. How is it you can drive down the street and have cops force blood from you in a blood test to see if you were drinking? Does that sound like the Fourth Amendment to you? Because I'm sorry, it really, really does not sound like it to me. I'm sorry. That's an illegal search and seizure. Schools are modeled after quasi-prisons after churning out a future of compliant citizens. We're seeing this in the fact that college-age students are holding down colleges because they disagree with someone's speech. The courts have become courts of order in an age of government-sanctioned tyranny. The courts are siding with the government that are tied into the corporations. And these are all things that are going on around us in the land of the free and the home of the brave, as it were. But make sure you pay attention to this, friends. Do you realize it says America's public schools can be found in almost every aspect of the American police state that plagues those of us outside. Metal detectors, surveillance cameras, they get them used to these searches and seizures and acquisitions and punishments in the school. And of course, they grow up thinking that it's just normal. And there's somehow nothing wrong with it, when really they're being acclimated to give up their rights before they even know what their rights are. And the way the Bill of Rights is taught today, they may never truly understand. So I said it wasn't going to be a crappy show. What am I thankful for? I'm thankful on a show level of all of this getting out. More and more and more and more. We have 518 subscribers now. Hit subscribe. Be one of them. It helps. It's a big help. We're growing by leaps and bounds, and I'm thankful that all of this is getting out. On a personal level, I got married this year to Christelle. I have got my band signed. We all got our band signed, I should say. Passing Time is now on Night Stalker Records. But none of that, I'm going to bore all of the non-subscribers to death. I'm happy that all of this is getting out. And I'm glad that I can be a part of it happening. Gateway pundit Jim Hoft. And as always, I'm most thankful for my health, because otherwise I wouldn't have a wife, a show, or a band. It was all a lie. A German scientist confirms NASA fiddled with the climate data. I'm very, very happy that right before, I'm very thankful, if you will, that right before the summit the staged summit where Obama is doing his best to shove global warming lies down your throat. And I'm going to prove to you it's a lie as we move on here. On Thanksgiving Day, Mr. Obama. Man-made global warming isn't happening, friends. And I'm very thankful to be one of the people to be able to prove that to you. Now, if you want to argue that we're putting things into the atmosphere, then I'll listen to that all day. Because I think we're giving each other lung cancer by putting so many fossil fuels into the air. Sorry, my Republican listeners, if I just pissed you off. I'm libertarian, not GOP. I get accused of GOP all the time. Democrats, I'm sorry, we're not warming the planet. If you really want to get the coal plants to shut down, then why don't you point out what they're really doing, which would be giving us all cancer. But we are not warming the planet. We do not need taxed for fossil fuels. We do not need to pay more if we're driving a bigger car. We do not need to drive less. This is ridiculous. Being a holiday, I'm reminded of my parents, of course. Both of them are no longer with us. And how does a virtual non-drinker, by virtual, I mean, I think I saw my dad drink 20 times in his life. I saw him drunk, I don't know, like twice, maybe 3 times, ever. He didn't drink. How did he die of gallbladder/liver cancer? I'll tell you how, by things they put in food. Is a lot of those carcinogens coming from what we put in the air? I don't know. It's very likely so. That kind of argument I'll listen to all day. But this notion that man is warming the planet, I'm sorry, Bernie Sanders and all of his supporters, you are simply dead wrong. The science is not on your side, and we're going to cover a few things to prove that. I promised you this wouldn't be all about Thanksgiving. I am a man of my word. Dr. Frederick Carl Everett, a German professor, Dr. Frederick Carl Everett, confirmed what other previously have reported, that NASA fiddled with global warming data to push global warming. Why? Because the people that give them large amounts of money wanted them to do so. That's why. Ewert is not the first scientist to make this discovery. British scientists called the fiddling of climate data. It's the biggest science scandal in February. Breitbart.com, for those of you that want sources. A German professor has confirmed what skeptics from Britain and the US have long suspected, that NASA's Goddard Institute of Space Studies has largely invented global warming by tampering with raw temperature data records. Professor Dr. Friedrich Karl Everett is a retired geologist and data computation expert. He has painstakingly examined and tabulated all NASA GISS's temperature data series taken from 1153 stations and going back all the way to 1881. His conclusion, that if you look at the raw data as opposed to NASA's revisions, you'll find that since 1940, the planet has been cooling, not warming. And that's interesting, because this is something that I discovered on my own when I was painfully trying to pass algebra and physics classes. They were talking about this kind of thing. And I was the one who noticed that when you looked at the original data, we weren't warming at all. And I was talking about it a lot. According to Gunther Ederer, who DJ Aram could probably pronounce better than I did, the German journalist who has reported on Ewert's findings, from the publicity available data, he says Ewert made an unbelievable discovery. Between the years of 2010 and 2012, the data measured since 1881 were altered so that they showed a significant warming, especially after 1950, which is when they're trying to sell you that the lie began to be known. A comparison of the data from 2010 with the data of 2012 shows that NASA GISS had altered its own data sets so that, especially after World War II, a clear warming appears, although it never existed. Apart from Australia, the planet has in fact been on a cooling trend. That's right. It's only been Australia which has shown any warming at all. Now, I had thought California had, but that is not true. California has not. Certain parts of California have. Unfortunately, the parts that we wish weren't. Again, not caused by man, something that has geologically been for the entire time that California has been within recent epoch history. It said, Dying of thirst. Sorry, friends. The activist scientists at NASA GISS, initially led by James Hansen and later by Gavin Schmidt, wanted the records that they were in charge of maintaining to show warming and not cooling. So they began systematically adjusting. How about the word lying? They began lying about the data for various spurious reasons using 10 different methods. They lied, friends. How many of you are understanding what I'm saying? A scientist using raw data has proved that NASA deliberately lied. It cannot be more clear. Global cooling, and NASA finally admits that the Antarctica has been cooling for the past 6 years. Gateway pundit Jim Hoft. When the facts don't matter, Antarctic temperatures have cooled over the past 6 years, according to the U.S. Space Agency, NASA. Politicians will try to push their junk science next week in Paris anyway. Junkscience.com. An intensive scientific study of both Earth poles have found that from 09 to 16, overall temperature has dropped in the southern polar region. NASA's Operation Icebridge is an airborne survey of polar ice, and it says it has finalized 2 overlapping research campaigns at both the poles. In the past few weeks, NASA has revealed the overall amount of ice has increased at the Antarctic. Click on the link if you doubt me. There's FactCam. And the amount of sea ice has also extended, much to the joy of Al Gore's polar bears. Coupled with the latest announcement of slight cooling in the area, it has fueled claims from climate change deniers. I bet it has. There you go, friends. It's as clear as ever. And yet, look at this. There's a link for this. Experts, global warming means there's more Arctic ice. They will come up with anything when caught in a lie. It is mind-blowing. The last thing I'm going to get to on the global warming, then we're going to move on to other news. Daily Caller. Nonsense. Top scientists demolish alarmism behind the UN Climate Summit. Michael Batash, a panel of prominent scientists debunked one of the most popular global warming arguments ahead of a major UN climate summit to take place in Paris later this month. These scientists slammed policies to reduce carbon dioxide emissions as nonsense. These were scientists. No, they were not tied to the oil industry. Nice try. No, they were not. And they criticized politicians and activists for claiming that the world was on a path to catastrophic global warming. The most important thing to keep in mind is when you ask, is it warming, is it cooling, etc., is that we are talking about something tiny, temperature changes, and that is at the crucial point. Dr. Richard Lindzen, another source, a veteran climate scientist at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. That's not exactly a job you get if you're a quack. We are speaking on small percentages. 0.25 Celsius would be about 51% of the recent warming, and that strongly suggests a low, inconsequential, that is, doesn't matter for you Usher fans, climate sensitivity, meaning no problem at all, said Lindzen, who is also a senior fellow at the Libertarian Cato Institute. Of course, Barack Obama is his activist allies, it says, are calling for UN delegates to sign on to a global treaty. The only thing that is going to do is cripple an industry that is not warming the planet and maybe one of the only industries that America hasn't totally outsourced. So you can always count on Obama to make the wrong decision for you and decide with the side of absolute junk science. Friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. It is the Tanks Give 'em Day show. I got 3 more stories to get to, so don't go away. I would be remiss, though, if I didn't say one of the other things I'm thankful for is the sponsorship of Sticker Junkie. Go to stickerjunkie.com. Let them know that you're interested in getting your stickers made and type in promo code Correct Views or The Correct Views. and you'll be getting a savings. You'll be getting a discount right on checkout for doing it. Our band did it, and Sticker Junkie make these stickers for passing by. Why? Because they looked amazing, and everyone loved them when Sticker Junkie did them. So, stickerjunkie.com, promo code correct views or the correct views. 3 more stories to get to. It is true. DC police chief urges citizens to fight back against Paris-style attackers. Alice Salazar, Prison Planet. I got 2 stories to get to, not 3. I said 3, but this is actually double sourced. Give it to you in one story. Citizens in the nation's capital should be prepared to fight and try to take the gunman out should a Paris-style scenario unfold prior to police arriving. And this is what the city's police chief has stated. Now, how many of you know who Adam Korkesh is? Adam Korkesh is a guy that demanded on carrying guns in the Capitol because he believed it was important for defense. And everybody attacked him, right? And laughed, Democrat, Republican, everybody called him a nutcase. 2 years later, looks to me like Adam Kokesh was proved correct. Speaking with 60 Minutes Sunday, Washington, D.C. Police Chief Kathy Lanier, God bless her, urged residents to do what's necessary to save lives in the event of a terror attack or mass shooting, whether it means run, hide, or fight. If you're in a position to try and take the gunman down, to take the gunman out, it's the best option for saving lives before police can get there, Lanier said. While acknowledging, it says, her latest suggestion was counterintuitive to previous tactics that police have advised, such as hiding under your desk. We've already covered that on DUMBDEE shows. Taking action may be essential to prevent another massacre like the attack in Paris, which left over 120 people dead. Do you realize, and we reported on this just last year, they were saying the kids should bring canned goods to school so that you could throw them at an attacker, and if it hit them in the head, well, then it could do some damage to the terrorists. This was given out in pamphlets as a logical approach to self-defense in an active shooter situation. It's nice to see that Lanier is taking us down a little more logical path. While acknowledging her latest suggestion, again, being different from what they've said, it's simply not like other instances. We always tell people, don't take action. Call 911. Don't intervene in the robbery, said Lanier. We've never told people to take action, but this is it's a different scenario. And it says Lanier's declaration comes in the wake of various threats by Islamic terrorists. Let me tell you what. There's very likely going to be somebody sitting at my Thanksgiving table tomorrow that is armed. You know what? I'm delighted about that. Thrilled. You know why? It's very unlikely that in where I live, anybody's going to have an active shooter situation. But let's pretend. It is very nice to know that a sane, normal person who is welcomed in my house has a way to defend us in the event that something would go awry. Be it riots or be it whatever. Well, why would you not feel the same in a more public setting? Do you realize that if more people had been armed when Eagles of Death Metal were on stage in Paris, that it's very likely that less people would have been harmed and killed? Now, again, I'm not saying I would be a good candidate. A couple days after it happened, I was blessed to go to the Skinny Puppy show, something else I'm thankful for. And I'm a very poor candidate for being armed because I'm a mosh pit freak. Love it. Can't stay out of it. Very bad idea. But most sane people are not in the pit. They're standing on the outside. In the event that an active shooter situation happens, security is on the outside of even that. They're like on the outside of the outside. Or if they're catching crowd surfers, in which case they're at eye level, that's not going to help a whole lot with a barricade behind them. If everyone is around the crowd, that is armed. It's very hard for them to shoot in without shooting people panicking. However, if people who are not in the mosh pit, if people are armed, then shoot an AK-47, you kind of have to plant, which is what these gunman bastards had. Well, if you plant and somebody else has a handgun and you shoot 2 or 3 people, an armed, responsible citizen is simply going to shoot the AK-40. It's done. An AK-47 is a terrible gun to have if somebody else is armed and you're trying to spray, because you're going to plant and now you are stationary. And if someone knows how to shoot, you're going down. If no one is armed, then you have the bloodbath that you had in Paris. That's what you have. Friends, that brings us to the DUMBDEE of the day. Oh yeah, we got our DUMBDEE music. We do. What is the DUMBDEE of the day? Police break into cars and take things to prevent car break-ins and thefts. You know, if I tried to make this up, people would think I was lying. I've always heard the overused saying you can't make this up. It's true. You really can't. John Vibes, the anti-media. Police in New Haven, Connecticut, are breaking into vehicles to prevent break-ins as part of a program that they hope will convince people to stash their possessions and lock their doors. Now, pause. How many of you have owned a piece of garbage car such as I have many times in my life? A lot of times you can't lock your car because you don't have a way to get in. The little clicker button doesn't work anymore. The other key you don't have, you whatever it is, the lock is broken. You don't dare lock your car. How many, I guarantee people listening to me have been in that situation. I'm also thankful that I'm not in that situation now. At least my clicker works. What would Thanksgiving be without a working clicker? Just saying. You can't always lock your car. New Haven police announced this week that officers will be looking for unlocked cars with valuables in plain sight. Odd capitalization there. The police said they plan to enter these cars without permission or a warrant to collect the belongings so that they are protected from criminals. Yeah, you're not going to panic when you wake up in the morning and your phone is gone. The police believe that if they get at the valuables before the criminals, they will be doing the car owners a favor. At the same time, they are hoping to send a message to people to be more careful with their automobile security. You know, what if I am giving someone a ride in a car that I can't lock and they accidentally leave their cell phone in my car? That does not mean that I was irresponsible. It doesn't also mean that the police should have their phone. And I'm not saying the police are likely dishonest or something like that. I don't think that's going to be the case in most instances. I really don't. But this sets a bad precedent, is a good way to put it. After rummaging through a person's private vehicle and possibly searching for anything illegal in the process, which is, again, a breach of the Fourth Amendment, which doesn't look like we have anymore, officers will first attempt to contact the owner using their license plate information. If they cannot reach them, officers will take the possessions, lock the car, and leave a notice for the owner to retrieve their items at the police station. Never mind if the person can't get into their damn car because Barney Fife locked the fucking door. This is insane. I swear to you, I've never seen anything like this. This is stupidity at a whole new level. Local resident George Cretides told reporters he thinks police should focus on catching the criminals and not breaking into cars to stop break-ins. I think there should be more foot patrols and more bicycle police in the neighborhood. The problem here is that they're locking cars without knowing whether or not the people can get back into them. And that is even if it was okay to do, even if they weren't trying to bust you for something. Locking the car. there are a lot of people listening to this show, or that are going to listen to this show, that are going to realize exactly what I'm saying because they've lived in situations where they can't lock their car. Friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. Sam might be Gangi doing political commentary for the media speaks. You can donate at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. Every penny you give to me goes towards a better show. We got Fact Cam. We got all that crap that hooks Fact Cam up. We've got 3-point lighting, halogens, computers, study time, research time. All of it costs money, costs time, and you can help at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. I am going to make the end of this a very Thanksgiving message because I'm assuming if you're still listening, then you're one of the subscribers. Thank you. I'm very thankful for you. There aren't a lot of you, but there are a lot of you that are loyal, and that is great. Share the video. Let other people know I'm out here. I also am delighted. Our band got picked up this year by a small label. Might not be Sony, but you know what? This guy is going to do more for us than probably Sony even would. Night Stalker Records, Lincoln Car, mark my words. This is going to be huge. I'm delighted with it. I have began renting houses with some money that I inherited, which is a very good thing. And I'm healthy. I'm married to Christelle. That is awesome. And those are the things I'm extremely thankful for. If you're still listening, let me know what you're thankful for and let me know what your favorite charity is. And I'll make sure that I give a shout out to it at the next show. I'm going to make sure somebody's not Facebooking me that I need something to do on the show. But no, it's separate. All right, friends. Thank you for listening. Good night and God bless. Happy Thanksgiving.